Hello, hello. Rather than a regular full episode, we have for you, for a multitude of reasons, mostly involving us being very busy with exam studying and thesis work, we just have a slightly shorter episode. And by slightly shorter, I mean about a quarter the length of every other episode. We're going to talk about the first 3 episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina, our opinions, and some of our hopes and dreams for the continuation of the first season of The Legend of Vox Machina, which we are patrons for. As might be expected, there are spoilers for The Legend of Vox Machina. There are very small spoilers for Vox Machina as a whole. We try to avoid talking about any specific episodes in terms of sort of what occurs, the content. We just sort of mention things generally, but if you are trying to come into this completely clean, that might pose a problem for you, and I recommend possibly watching the episodes first before you come to this. However, I do think that it serves a fine function if you just want to get a little sampler and see if it's worth checking out. Other than that, we do mention sexual content in this. We have a little bit of some dirty jokes here. And I don't believe there's any other content warnings that you need to be conscious of, but just be aware of some of the regular violence that is inherent to a show like Legend of Vox Machina, and I hope you enjoy this little bonus episode between regular episodes. The next episode should come back soon, and hopefully by then we'll be out of the time vortex and able to record new episodes as they come. So, thank you very much for your patience, and we hope you enjoy this little aperitif. Bye!
Hello and welcome to Critical Rollback Special Edition something.
That was a very hesitant start. My name is Bal.
And I'm Jana. I'm sorry I didn't prepare an intro for this. Do you have a random quote?
Have we promised to never make you look at Scanlan and Shorthaul's testicles?
Yes, which is more than we can say about The Legend of Vox Machina so far.
And the fact that we enjoyed it despite that is really incredible, I think. Because,
well, you just spoiled the entire thing, didn't you?
I mean, I don't think it's... whether or not... I think, that, ultimately what we're investigating here is whether or not it is quality entertainment. Whether or not we enjoyed it is a different question. I also enjoy eating dry ramen. I don't think I would call that quality entertainment.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Okay, so
Sometimes,
just to get everyone on the same page.
Sometimes when I'm cooking with my mom, occasionally I will eat something while cooking. She'll say, "Is that edible?" And I'll say, "I don't really know." And then we'll just carry on with her life until she tells me to stop.
Okay. Anyways, so we are recording this on the Monday after The Legend of Vox Machina episodes 1, 2, 3 dropped. And thought we'd give you a bit of an opinion. Just a short,
snappy.
It's weird to say that we're going to keep the spoiler free, because if you're listening to us, the assumption is you already know Campaign 1.
Yeah, because we've already basically spoiled Campaign 1. I'm actually really interested.
We
I've
have?
seen a lot of people talk about tagging things as sort of Vox Machina, which feels very much like a video game midquel name.
Yeah, this sounds kind of awesome, but also new blood is always a little iffy.
Yeah, got new blood.
New blood.
New
Talk
blood.
to me when you are better than the Amazon subtitles are telling the twins apart.
But I think the main point of it is just so that people can safely explore the Vox Machina tag without actually getting spoiled for the entirety of Vox Machina.
6 years.
6 years?
Well,
it started
7.
It started 7 years ago.
Wait.
Gee.
Almost, yes.
I had a nightmare case scenario. Watched a clip of Bob's Burgers, and it was dated to 9 years ago.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Bob's Burgers came out more than a decade ago, and I remember it premiering, and Oh God, I thought it came out like 2 years ago. I consider it a new show.
You know what ended around the same time that Critical Role began?
What ended at the same time as Critical Role began, and is it Naruto?
Glee.
Fuck me running! No, it didn't!
You're welcome. No. Glee ended in 2015, I'm pretty sure.
Oh God,
and that's when
so many
Critical Role started.
So many of their actors are still alive then. Not all of them, but most of them.
That's fucking dark.
It's very dark. It's real people, and I'm very sad about it. But it isn't wrong.
If Chris Colfer is hit by lightning next week, it's your fault.
Chris Colfer, if Chris Colfer is hit by lightning,
fault for courting disaster.
It's his fault.
But, yeah,
you can only bait fate so much, you know.
You can only make Naya Rivera sing "If I Die Young" and something River. Yeah. Okay.
First 3 episodes of Legend of Vox.
The first 2 episodes were advertised to us as a completely new story, but they are not.
They're not, though honestly, they're very much like new canon.
It's very much here, this is the big retcon in the room, it's fine, we'll just work from here.
Yeah, I don't...
Like, they made the decision to, kind of forego any and all previous experiences they had in Imon, because from what we know, they kind of build a relationship with the Sovereign and Allura, independently from each other over time, which in this they just kind of dropped in medias res.
Yeah, by this point in time, they like in the original canon, they had already basically saved Sovereign Allura.
Yeah, they had to complete. They were just local heroes already. Is the thing they already had quite a bit of.
Yeah, which is
aplomb.
Which is what I think is interesting, because I think that sort of Legend of Vox Machina got the spirit of the edit. I think it's more of like, this is why I'm not as insulted by the retcon, because I think it got the sort of the spirit of where Vox Machina started, even if it's not factually correct. Like, because the spirit of where Vox Machina starts is sort of like the transitional small-time folk heroes and, you know, state-accepted, state-sponsored, big-time heroes. And, like, the dissonance that comes
being
with that.
The people everybody expects to save the world.
Yeah, and like, that naturally gives them a lot of dissonance and a lot of, like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
And I think...
Yeah, we've commented before that, like, Crackhammer episodes have them act like they have amazing imposter syndrome. They don't even know they're there legally.
Yeah, they're just like, are we, you know, they're basically bribing people to let them do their job. And it's like, you don't have to do this. You were asked to do this by a political... You're like, this is your job, guys. You have every right to be here. And I think that, like, Legend of Vox Machina, the first few episodes do get at that emotional space, even if they're not quite at... They take a very different route, where, like, they're just, you know, mercenaries for hire instead of being small-time folk heroes.
Well, I mean, they're not even really hired much. They just... What I'm interested in is why they are together, because we don't really get the sense of as them. They don't even... Like, it's a plot point that they weaponize that they don't really work as a coherent unit yet.
Yes, God,
So how did they even get here and be together? Like, what?
Please, if I'm Critical Role cast, I know that you're not listening to this podcast.
Hopefully.
But the thing that I'm trying to spiritually channel and spiritually call my brain to their brain and say, do a flashback to them fighting Percy in the cell at some point in future seasons.
With Vex there. Getting him out of there.
With Vex there.
Recanonizing the wedding vows.
Recanonize it, please. I mean, I do have the vaguest sense at the beginning, like, this is a bit spoilers, but I think that, like, I don't know if I'm right in saying that this feels a little bit like the Vex Apology Tour.
Yes. This was, like, one of the things that stuck out to me the most. And I'm going to partially blame Marike Nijkamp for this, whose book is apparently fine.
It's fine.
I've read the prologue. It's been fine so far. A lot of softness and Vex you don't really see. We're going to make an entire episode about it at some point when we both have free time for that.
Yeah, and I don't have locked brain syndrome. Locked tomb brain syndrome. Locked brain syndrome?
Yeah, when I'm not in legal boot camp. Anyways.
Yes. Okay, anyway.
Guys, I've handwritten 75 pages of exams this month, so yeah. not doing so hot.
I have 2 jobs and I'm working on my thesis, so we're both, like, not doing great time-wise.
We should have just published in September last year, then we would already be out of the Underdark by now.
Okay, anyway,
Target, Vex.
Okay.
Vex.
Vex Apology Tour.
Like, this is, outside of the book I haven't read yet, this is the best Vex I have seen outside of the show.
Which isn't perfect. Don't get us wrong,
Wow.
it's not perfect.
It's not perfect. No.
Like...
They had to trim down a lot about the characters, but usually that tends to reduce a Vex to the greedy bitch.
Yeah.
When you have to compromise, whatever.
And it feels more like they trimmed, just across the board. Like they trimmed for everybody.
I mean, the biggest victim of who is this character is probably Pike, who...
And Allura. Who the fuck is Allura?
Yeah, everyone else is just no one. It's fine. The main cast counts.
It's fine.
Like, Pike is just...
Yeah,
But Keyleth should be, in a way.
Yeah.
Trying to be the moral center.
I don't blame them for going so hard on... Yeah, I don't blame them on going so hard on Pike Keyleth being very, terrified and having panic attacks.
That's fine. That's
perfectly
fine.
A legitimate part of her character. I think that it feels like such a big thing because it's like... I mean, it's such a big thing of the first 2 episodes that it's a little hard to see her character past that, but there's an entire series coming after, which hopefully will characterize her more than that.
Yeah, again, it's more like that they made Pike very smooth, very non-flawed, very...
Which is going to come up in the episode that we're going to record after this.
That's why I'm holding back here.
Pike, it feels very much like how whenever Matt plays Pike, that's how Matt plays Pike.
Yeah,
it's not how Ashley plays Pike.
Yeah.
Which is very dissonant because Pike Ashley is doing a phenomenal voice role.
Oh yeah.
She's actually one of the more natural sounding voices. But the characterization is so different.
If you had to rank them from most naturally to least naturally sounding, I think it goes Percy, Pike, Keyleth, then Vex,
then Grog.
Grog is rough. I think Scanlan is more
not
natural.
Quite as rough as Vex and Scanlan. Vex and Scanlan have it so rough.
Vex just sounds nothing like Vex.
Vex is just a video game.
It's just Liam leaning into his gruff, sad voice that he just did not use for Vex outside of official recordings.
He sounds he doesn't even have the same accent, I feel.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Grog is just full-on dumb.
It's so weird.
Full-on dumb, stupid voice. Which, the appealing thing about Grog is kind of that that Travis plays him with more nuance than this. But again, we have 3 20-minute episodes. Who has nuance? We need to get this show moving. Chop.
That's true.
Vex has nuance.
The main thing that's making me put Grog above Vex is just because I think that Travis is doing a very interesting voice role. It isn't Grog, but it's compelling to listen to.
Yeah, it is closer, and it's something, whereas Vex is just, who are you?
Nothing. Who is this man? I don't know him. Who let him into this group?
This isn't even Liam's sad boy in the appealing whoomp way kind of voice. It's just, here's the edgelord.
Yeah,
oh no, look at that.
like,
Percy is out edging him.
It sounds...
Well, now he's nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't even have like the kind of thing that I love most with Vox, where he's like kind of goes up and down a lot more. Like he actually has like I think it's been mentioned a lot of times that Liam has a really high register when he wants to. He can go really, really high.
Yeah, he can. Like, he managed to play female characters and make it sound natural, so, you know.
Yeah. It's really taken for granted with how much, it sounds very natural, so you don't notice it, but, Vax goes up and down a lot. He goes high voice, he goes low voice, he goes middle voice.
He's also usually just
and,
Liam naturally speaking with a bit of a British accent.
Not
this.
I also like how much, there's kind of, a shit to there's a shit quality to his voice, where you're like, you little shit. And it was like, stop fucking smirking. But it's kind of fun and endearing, whereas this Vex is definitely not smirking.
Nope, even when he should be.
So that's one thing, though. So that's enough about the voices, I think, unless we want to go into Scanlan, because Scanlan is this whole big can of worms.
I mean, I feel like Scanlan, when he's talking, is fine. Scanlan singing is getting a little obnoxious. They are going full Witcher with just having him sing all the credits every time. The problem with Scanlan is when he doesn't talk or sing.
Yeah.
If we just get a close-up of his balls, or whatever he's doing to the tavern keeper's daughter or something. It's like...
You could replace him so easily with, a talking dog character who is just, humping Like, you could just replace, you can cut and replace, like, every Scanlan scene with, like, a scene of a little schnauzer.
Humping a pillow, yes, kind of.
Yeah, and you're like, sorry guys, I wasn't, like, I couldn't participate in this adventure because I was too busy trying to fuck a dog. Damn it, that clip's gonna take it out of context at some point.
Yeah, so that's a little much.
But
I feel like they got too much feedback about how much everybody loved Scanlan, and then just were like, okay, so let's just put the little guy fucking things in here all the time.
Yeah, I think people don't really fully understand what was appealing about Scanlan, and
honestly, I think what we thought was appealing about Scanlan is vastly different from what other people thought was appealing about Scanlan.
Yeah, I guess so. Though, like, I've actually heard, like, a surprising amount of people, apparently on Reddit, that, like, even people who are, like, the Reddit Scanlan are finding it really, really unnatural. Like, it just doesn't feel as natural when it's, like, is a part of an animated series.
I mean, now you have to see the tits and balls, so yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also part of it. It's like, oh, now we have to actually, like, it's the same way that, like, we can talk, I can talk about Scanlan having his little dick out and basically being a horny little unneutered dog. But if you asked me to animate that, I would tear my eyes out, like Oedipus.
Which we very much felt like doing, because, again, we get a close-up of his balls.
Yep, that is in the first episode, and not even very far into the first episode.
And also, I think, like, for the more Reddit-leaning community, there was something aspirational and suave about Scanlan and his womanizing ways. I mean, admittedly, we never really seen him have sex with someone he didn't pay in during on stream. It's just implied. But when you just see the little guy humping not the pillow but the Chevenkeep's daughter, and it's just so undignified in a way, I think the illusion kind of vanishes. Which is, I mean, the sex is just a very undignified thing.
Yeah, he's just I think there's also some element of, like, I don't want to play the height card of being not a very tall person, but I also think that there's, like, a lot of charm that's lost about it. There's a lot of suaveness that's lost about it when you realize that he's quite small. Like, oh, this is very different.
Oh, he's actually humping my leg, but only gets up to the ankle.
Yeah, this is a problem. But yeah, I think that in general there's just the problem with Scanlan is oversaturation.
Yeah, like, somebody just heard, oh, people love Scanlan, let's just put him front and center the entire time. Also...
Yeah, there's also this feeling, like, this need for there to be, like, a mascot figure.
Yeah. And...
it's like, that's not really
also,
needed.
they're really trying to cash in on the Witcher Jaskier thing, so hey.
Jaskier.
Yeah.
It's all Polish, so the J's are wives.
The J's are wives?
Jaskier. The J's are wives.
Are you
wives,
sure
like
about... I mean,
sound. I think it's Jaskier.
Like my goddamn name, by the way. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways.
It's not Jana. It's not Jana.
No, it's Jana.
I can tell you that. Hello and welcome to Critical Rollback.
My name is not Jana. My name is not Jane or Joan or anything. It's Jana. But it's written with a J.
Whatever.
We don't have the rights to that song.
We don't. If I start clapping now, I'm gonna think that I need to edit this part out. So that's a problem. Can't do that part.
Wonderful. Anyways, so the first two episodes are rough.
Did we ever circle back on
the first episodes are rough, but also we watched the premiere together, and we left with the feeling like, wow, this is a lot better than we thought it would be. Mostly because they actually went in and did a Vex. She's the leader. She gives orders.
She's like the leader figure.
Thoughtful.
Like we had this.
She's the leader.
We had this constant experience of, like, always expecting, like, Vex to interject with, like, a joke about her being greedy or her being bitchy, and then her just saying, like, something that's, like, legitimate.
She's impatient with Keyleth, and I understand that.
I mean, that's Vex.
That is just her.
That is Vex.
And she's in charge. She makes the plans. She is also correct with her assessments. And I also it was grating at the time, but in retrospect I kind of enjoyed the fact that Scanlan bristled up against that.
I think it drew attention to it.
Yeah.
I think that, like, I don't like it because I don't like the sort of arc that I feel like it's leading to, because these kinds of things tend to lead towards Scanlan being proven right.
But where in the narrative
like,
would they have the time for that?
That's a good point. That might be to our benefit, but it's just, like, these usual arcs tend to be, like, this little, underdog is not being taken seriously by the serious lady. But then he's gonna save everyone, which is, like, kind of the structure in play. It's just not an arc that I'm usually a fan of, because I think that, like...
Yeah, but also,
as is the case
I think
with this,
it's kind of hard to argue that Vex is right, and as you said, Scanlan having an issue with her giving the orders kind of puts attention towards it in a way that the campaign itself never has, which is why people don't even notice that it's always Vex calling the shots. Vex is always in charge of the party. Always.
In, like, the way that, like, they're also kind of, like, subtly centering Vex as kind of, like, a not quite the narrative character. She's not, like, she doesn't have main character syndrome, but it's sort of, like, the person that you're kind of, like, approaching the interest of the plot with.
Yeah.
Because, like, she's the person who wants to get them a job, and, like, she's the... Spoilers. But, like, she's the person who sticks next to Percy, and, like, she's kind of, like, the one who's, like,
sure she is.
Everyone on target.
Yes, which just... Wow. This is the Vexalia Apology Tour. Also, if you think the first 2 episodes are
I'm
rough...
I'm a big fan of the Vexalia Apology Tour.
And you are familiar with the source material, just watch episode 3.
Yeah, I've already told this to at least one person. Like, if you're familiar with the source material, skip the first 2 episodes.
Nothing before the Briarwoods happened. They're just kind of new in town, and it gets worse from here. Just watch episode 3, because wow.
Just watch episode 3. And, like, I don't know, maybe we'll be surprised and, like, the rest of the episodes are hot garbage, but, like, I don't feel like that's where this is going, because it honestly feels like...
if they've put this much care into the bits that are good for the first 3 episodes, especially episode 3, I don't see how the rest could be much worse. Also because they're kind of on rails from here on out.
Like, exactly. It feels like the parts that are sloppiest and, like, the most, juvenile and, like, the most kind of, like, uncentered are the ones where they have to sort of create the story whole cloth.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of I mean, we've already discussed that maybe these people aren't the best writers when it comes down to it.
No, they're very good voice actors and they're very good D&D players, but they're not the best writers, and those are different skill sets.
So this is no shade, absolutely no shade at all. Different skill sets.
No, it's
you can be an excellent storyteller while being not the best writer. It's a thing.
Many people, like, that is just the history of storytelling. It's thousands of years of being very, very good at, telling stories without writing them down. It's just that it's very different when it comes to actually, like, writing things down and having to, like, go through the editing process.
And having to compile your story, your epically long, hundreds of hours long story into 20-minute episodes.
Yeah, and when you have to, like, act as representation for your own character, like, essentially I'm sure that, like, within the writing staff, like, basically each person has to be the lawyer advocating for which scenes need to be cut and which scenes need to be kept.
Yeah, we've got a bit of that in the Twitter, when Laura was like that she had to put her foot down that Vex also goes looting the Dragon's Lair, because she would be doing that and everyone wanted to keep her with the serious characters.
Like, no, she can be a serious character, but she is going to be looting. As they need money.
Yes.
I actually really liked... Okay, this is...
It's also kind of serious that she's looting.
Yeah. I mean, like, I really like that scene because it feels like her... I mean, I guess this is spoilers, but there's a part where she loots money. And, like, I like that scene because it's not taken as, like, a greed thing. Like, she's not, like, coins in her...
No, we have established... We have established that they need money.
Yeah, and she doesn't get, like, gold coins in her eyes and, like, tries to take everything. She's just like, I'm taking this and I'm going.
Yep. Also, by the way, the Dragon Horde scene also, and I'm very proud of this joke, should answer everyone's questions about why Tiberius isn't in it or where he is, because he is actually in this quite prominently, and Scanlan gives him a hug.
Ah, very
DM
tight.
me when you
it's
figure it out.
Close hug, yeah. And,
yeah.
Yeah. God. You are leading into this so hard. I'm so proud of you. What is my favorite thing about you?
Sometimes
Jana,
I make good observations and I'm proud of them, okay?
You're very proud of them. And also, one of my favorite things about you is that when you decide to do something, you decide to fucking do it. And, like, I just have to stand back sometimes and be like, yeah, she's doing it. Just watch her go.
You're the one who makes all the sex jokes.
I am.
Shut up.
But this isn't about the sex joke. This is about, like, creative liberty. This is about, like... It's about, like, you know...
Look, if I'm correct about this, the act of the one taking a bed to a hornet's nest is not me.
No, my job is to take the bat to the hornet's nest. I've already made a tweet about how I can't wait for all the old discourse to get brought up so I can finally win all those arguments. I've been spending 6 years just compiling backing evidence.
Been reading through old arguments. Someone has reblogged old stuff I wrote on the Tumblr. Oh god, all these old arguments. I mean, darling sweetheart, we have to be a little fair and be like, the two of us are also going to single-handedly relive every single argument we've ever had just by making the podcast.
Yeah, independently. Things that we have disagreed upon.
That too. We've disagreed upon things?
Yes. Occasionally. Not very often, and usually about small things.
Besides the placement of Vex in the top to bottom list.
I was also thinking about Lilith, because I was thinking about, like, how, spoilers for, is like, Lilith gets, well, I mean, I guess this is anti-spoilers, Lilith is not a character.
She's not.
Which
is good.
I don't think it's kind of always sad for me when a character, like, I'm going to be very sad if Kashaw and Zara get cut, but I will understand it.
Yeah.
Because it's just hard.
The thing is, Kashaw and Zara offer more to the plot. Lilith was, I mean, it was cool that she was there.
Yeah,
and she was fun while she was there.
Yeah, I feel like she takes... I always feel bad for Lilith, because I feel like Lilith as a character is, like, actually very fun. We don't get to see
She's just reduced to what happens in the beginning of episode 26, and that's the only context in which people talk about her.
Which she has no choice in. She didn't do anything. Is it like she does not deserve this?
No. We will have a few weeks to go until we go into depth about this, but people know.
So, really, what I want to ask you, Jana, is at least without any going into any specifics and having watched the first 3 episodes, how do you feel about this as a?
I'm happy with it. Like, they obviously had to take many, many shortcuts, but I remarked upon this while watching the first 2 episodes, which are worse, but also do a lot of legwork for this to very smoothly transition into the Chroma Conclave arc after this.
Mm-hmm.
And right now my biggest fear is that they made Cassandra older than she was because the dark-haired girl child in the flashback was taller than the other girl child in the flashback.
Yeah, I'm worried about
and
that.
And Cassandra
too.
has to be the youngest.
I really like Cass.
Cassandra has to be the youngest.
Cass was the youngest.
She's like 15 to 17 throughout the events of the show, okay?
I think there's this kind of, like, dissonance that comes from meeting Cass when she's, like, older than her siblings were when they died, which kind of makes you, like, reset the ages, because you...
She's not, though.
No, like...
Like, she's not older than Vesper and Julius, at least.
No, but she's older than the youngest, so it makes you kind of re-bracket the ages, because you're seeing, like, like, when we meet Cassandra in the original show, she's older than her older siblings were when they died. Does that make sense?
No, she's not.
No, not older than Ludwig and Whitney and, like, the middle siblings. So it kind of makes you re-bracket her as a middle child rather than... But
yeah, okay, right. I understand.
She is the youngest child, and, like, younger than Percy by a significant amount.
There's, like, 3 children between them.
Yeah, the tragedy of Cassandra is, like, it's tragic for a lot of things, but it's also partially just, you realize just how young...
Yeah, she is probably not... She's probably she's probably not just a teenager, but also probably, like, 16, 17 when we meet her on the show.
Yeah, probably, like, 18 at the very oldest.
At the very oldest. If
you're really, really stretching it, I can believe that she's 18. But, like, she's probably 16.
She's 16, she just acts, well, as Matt described it, 5 years her senior at least. And she also kind of has to act like the big sister to Percy, who's very irresponsible in this whole sibling relationship thing. We're not going to analyze this here, we're going to get into this in the podcast.
Yeah, and I will say that, going back to the Legend of Vox Machina, something that I kind of like so far is I feel like they're kind of seeding character flaws that I feel are very characters. Not so much with Vax. Vax doesn't really have character flaws. Vax isn't really a character. But I feel like we get kind of samples of, like, Percy is very impulsive. And he is very impulsive.
Oh,
he's
really?
very
Did that ending of episode 3 feel impulsive to you? I couldn't tell.
Not just that. No, but I feel like there's also that in terms, like, you can always say, like, oh, well, the demon is making him do that, kind of. Because there's a demonic influence component to that. Spoilers to Vox Machina as a whole, but whatever. There's a demon component to that. But, like, how he acts at the table of just, like, staring and, like, just being, like, like, breaking a glass in his hand is like, no, that's Percy. That's all Percy.
Yeah, okay, I understand what you
Percy.
mean. Yes.
He is impulsive, he is headstrong, he thinks he knows best.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a dick, and I love him.
He thinks he's the adult in the room, and I think he's technically the youngest.
Yeah, he's really not the adult in the room. Oh god, I hope... he looks so much older than Keyleth. He looks like an actual... He's so fucking broad. I will say this, and I don't
To be
hate
fair,
this.
Keyleth also looks like she's barely legal.
Yeah, I'm going to have so much problems with that. With the Vax's romance, because she just
Maybe
looks
that's
like
why
a
they
tiny
went, like...
baby.
Like, we got a sequence in the 3rd episode that on the stream was like the first unequivocal, wow, we're really gonna go there, huh? Vaxleth moment. And
whereas...
the animated show was just like, huh? Vaxleth? I don't know her. Never heard of her.
Yeah, like, it's not that there's a problematic age gap in real. Like, there's maybe some, but I don't particularly care. It's mostly just that, like, seeing it and, like, seeing... Like, he looks 16. And, like, Vax looks like a 32-year-old man. And I feel like every time they interact, I just want to be like, no! Get away from her, she's 16!
Like, the twins are, like, 27, I think?
Oh, the twins are, like, the older group. Like, they're the upper limit of between, like...
The twins are, like, mid to late 20s, and Keyleth is like Percy, like, early 20s.
And Pike is in her 40s, which means that she's, like, 26.
Isn't Pike in her 30s?
She might be... I think Ashley went a little both ways. Gnome aging makes no sense to me, and I don't want to think about it too hard.
Scanlan is 69, which proportionally makes him early 20s, but he also has a gajillion kids who are younger than him and old enough to seduce him? It's just, yeah.
Wait, how is he 69 years old and is a young
For
adult?
the joke.
But his daughter is also a young adult. What?
We'll get there when we get there. This is not the time or place.
This is not the time or place.
So,
I think we can basically come to conclusions.
We can just say, yeah, the conclusion is, I enjoyed this more than I thought I would. It is actually, if you can get over the squicky Scanlan bits, and, well... other squicky bits like, oh, Vax just casually took someone's hand in a bar brawl. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think that, like, I have a hard time saying, like, if I watched just this, I wouldn't say, like, oh, this is my favorite animated show that I've ever seen. But it's definitely, I will honestly say, kind of my favorite Vox Machina adaptation.
Yeah, it's the best thing they've ever done outside of the stream.
Yep. And, like, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. We are, like, we didn't expect to be, like, especially after seeing the trailers and stuff, we didn't expect to like this so much.
No, we were fully, like, and, like, I'll be honest with you guys, we wanted to like it. And, like...
we paid for it.
It's so weird. It's so weird to have this experience, because I'm so used to, like, really, really wanting to like something, and just not being able to. It's very strange to come to the experience of, like, oh god, I hope this is good, and just being like, oh... it's pretty good, actually.
It's like the only other time I remember this happening was when we watched She-Ra together.
Yeah. Yeah, though honestly with She-Ra, there was not as much trepidation.
True.
I felt like She-Ra was always going to be good, it's just the matter was like, is it going to be satisfying?
Is it going to be good? Are we going to have serious Tumblr conversations about queer baiting?
Is this going to be good, or is this going to be... a particularly another animated show that we're watching, and I'm not going to name. It has to do with birds?
It has to do with birds and with a very young, obnoxious Tumblr fandom being like, this is the best thing ever, and everything that came before it sucks.
Yes. And us just being like, oh, this is fine.
Disrespecting your elders. Don't you all remember how all these shows got cancelled for having girls hold hands?
Yeah. This is a different kind. We're, one discourse at a time.
One discourse at a time. So anyways, we like The Legend of Vox Machina. It is very surprising to us as well.
Yeah, if the next episode is like a Patreon bonus where we sound very somber, I'm going to be very sad. But right now, ending on a high note, I'm finding myself excited for Friday.
Yeah, seriously, I'm looking forward to watching this. I'm looking forward to watching it with you.
Yay! I hope so.
If it comes out on midnight between Thursday and Friday, I kind of always have the time to watch it, so that's nice.
Yeah, I do recommend watching this with someone if you can, because it really helps to get through the worst Scanlan bits in the first 2 episodes.
You can just talk over them, it's fine.
You can just grow, people are talking about having songs stuck in their heads, and I'm like, I cannot even grasp the content of the songs in my mind.
I think it was about the anal beats, the joke that Keyleth for some reason understood. Well, not necessarily anal beats, just beats as sex toys. Why does Keyleth understand this joke?
Especially this Keyleth, since she looks like she's maybe 15. I think I'm aging her down the more time I say it. I think every time I'm going to...
This is called a sexual
she's
assault?
12!
Anyway.
just keep saying that Keyleth is younger and younger every time I name her. It's just gonna, by the end, I'll be like, she's 6 months old!
She's a baby!
She's a newborn! You leave her alone!
Okay, I think it's best we just leave it here.
I think so too. See you guys when the entire season launches, and we'll probably have more complex opinions about this.
Yep. We will have a whole ass big analysis about the entire thing for the patrons at some point. All right.
What's our opinion this episode? Don't show your balls in a public space. Remember to spay and neuter your Scanlans.
Good one, yes.
Remember to spay and neuter your Scanlans.
Only make more will handle dance and we know what to do with.
Alright. Bye.
Bye.